After you identify them, and then you have to investigate their interest in the conflict, and you can examine how powerful they are. This is just an example how we conduct a stakeholder analysis. As you can see that I have listed major stakeholders such as StatMadu and LND, for example. And then for each stakeholders, I have listed their interest, what they are interested in. And finally, I have also described their power. I am not going to elaborate for all the stakeholders, but just take the Tatmadu as an example. Once you identify Tatmadu as a major stakeholder, then you will analyze their interest in the conflict. And just for this exercise, I have 3 points for their interest and 3 points for their source of power. And you are supposed to do the same thing for other stakeholders so that you will have a comprehensive picture of who are involved in this conflict. And in order to prevent from being ambushed in the middle of your intervention, it is wise and useful so that you can carry out precautionary measures not to bring undesirable effect or unintended consequences. Once you have created a list of stakeholders and your analysis on their interests and power, the next step is you can plot them. As you can see on the 4 dimension, I have placed the power in the column and interest in the row. This table tells you that if a party has a power as well as very keen and strong, then these parties are considered to be a key stakeholder. The next category is that you have a power, but at the same time, you are not so much interested in the conflict or the outcome of the. From the third parties, you may be able to develop your relationship with them, and you can ask them to support your effort. If you're party to the conflict, then these people can be persuaded to be your ally, to support your cause. From your party's or the third party's point of view, by providing them a kind of a positive incentive, you can ask them to support your effort. By nature, because they are not so much interested in the conflict, at the same time they have an effective leverage or power in the situation. They have the potential to serve as insider, but they have the power to serve as the insider partial mediator. Although you have very high stake in the conflict process and the outcome, but if you do not possess power, you are most likely to be considered as a vulnerable people. It is often the case with the victim of the war, for example. Sometimes outside altruistic interveners see themselves as an agent to bring the aspirations and voices of vulnerable people to the negotiation table. Because they are powerless or their power is limited, if the primary parties are not taken into consideration of their voices in the peace process, they may act as a spoiler. Spoiler means they would like to object the current peace process, or they would like to ruin the peace process because they think either the current peace process is not in their advantage or their important values and needs are not met in the current peace process. While at the moment they may not be seen powerful enough to have an influence on the process of the peace, but they may get some external support and they may act as an opposition to the peace process. As you can see, in the case of a transnational radical violent extremist group can support these people and they may be turning into a radical element in the society. The last category is the people or the agent or that are not interested in the conflict or the outcome of the conflict, as well as they do not possess a leverage or influence in this process. If they find some kind of interest, they may be stepping into more stakeholders, but as long as they do not have a keen interest in the conflict, they may remain as an outsider and impartial. In order to illustrate the utility of this approach, I have plotted several stakeholders on this table. This tool to examine who will be able to bring into this process as a potential allies. At the same time, you can also be able to see whose interests are more likely to be neglected. My intention is not to claim that the reality looks like this, but I just wanted to show the utility of this tool. Now, I hope that you have understood how to use this conflict analysis tool. I hope you can familiarize yourself with stakeholder analysis.